Hey, my name is Daniel, and I used to work night security at an old bus station on the edge of town. If you've ever been to a bus station after midnight, you already know the feeling. Quiet, but not peaceful. Still, nothing prepared me for the night I learned that the station was never truly empty. Let me tell you straight, if you ever hear a bus engine start after midnight when no buses are running, do not go and check it. Don't be a hero. Don't be curious. Just leave. I learned that lesson the hard way, and I almost didn't make it out alive to tell this story. I clocked in at 10 p.m. It was winter and freezing. The wind kept pushing old newspapers across the empty parking lot. Inside the station, the lights flickered like they always did. Half the bulbs hadn't been replaced in years. We had 3 platforms. Platform 1, local buses. Platform 2, out-of-town buses. Platform 3, the old abandoned lane no one used anymore. My job was simple: stay awake, walk around, and make sure no one was sleeping in the waiting area. But from the day I started, the older workers kept warning me, don't mess with Platform 3. It's cursed. It's not for the living. I laughed at them. I thought they were just messing with the new guy. But I stopped laughing after 3 nights. Around 12:20 a.m., the heater stopped working. Everything became so cold I could see my breath. I kept rubbing my hands and walking around to stay warm. While doing my rounds, I passed by the old vending machine. It was dead, hadn't worked in years. But suddenly, I heard a click, then a loud whirring sound. The vending machine lit up. It made that sound like it was trying to drop a snack, but something got stuck. It was so loud that I went to check. When I shined my flashlight inside the glass, I froze. There was a handprint on the inside of the machine. I stepped back so fast I almost tripped. The machine suddenly shut off again. I told myself maybe a homeless person had banged on the machine earlier. Maybe the old light flickered by itself. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. By 1 a.m., a strange sound started echoing in the station. Footsteps, slow and heavy. At first, I thought someone had gotten locked in, so I walked towards the sound. But every time I turned a corner, the footsteps moved farther away. From Platform 1 to Platform 2, then to the worst place they could go, Platform 3. I stopped walking. My flashlight started shaking in my hand. Platform 3 was closed years ago after a tragic accident. A bus had caught fire there. People died trapped inside. The station never removed the burn marks. They just shut the platform down. But tonight, I heard footsteps walking along the burnt concrete. I should have called my supervisor. I should have walked away. But curiosity got me again, so I walked to Platform 3. When I turned the corner and faced Platform 3, my heart almost stopped. There was a bus there, a full-size city bus, painted black, old, rust everywhere, windows cracked. The station hadn't used that platform in 12 years, but here it was, bus engine on, lights flickering, headlights pointed straight at me. The engine made a deep rumbling sound, like it was alive. I froze. I didn't know if I should run or check if someone needed help. Then the bus door opened, a long, slow hiss, like the breath of something that had been asleep for too long. The inside lights flickered weakly. The seats were empty, or so I thought. I took one step closer. That's when I saw him, a man, sitting in the very last row, still as stone. I raised my flashlight. His clothes were burnt, as if he came straight from the fire that had taken place years ago. His skin was blackened. His eyes were white, and he stared at me like he had been waiting. My stomach tightened. I couldn't breathe. Then he moved just his head, slowly. Turning toward me, I heard a whisper that came from everywhere and nowhere. Last bus leaving. My body turned cold. Then the man stood up. Every instinct told me to run. So I did. I sprinted back toward the waiting room, but the footsteps behind me grew louder, faster and more heavy. I turned and saw him coming out of the bus. No, he wasn't walking. He was dragging himself. His feet scraped the ground. His arms dangled, but he moved fast, too fast. "Help!" I shouted. But the station was empty. I ran into the staff office and slammed the door, locked it, pushed a chair under the handle. My heart pounded like a drum. Then I heard it. Bang, bang. The thing was hitting the door, slowly. Consistently, I covered my mouth to keep myself from screaming. Then everything went quiet, completely quiet. I waited 5 minutes, then 10, then 15. Finally, I decided to look out the small glass window in the door. Huge mistake. Because right on the other side, face pressed against the glass, was the burnt man. his white eyes staring straight into mine. I couldn't move. His cracked lips opened and he whispered, "Come with me." I stumbled back so fast I fell over the desk. Then, the door swung open by itself. No bang, no push, just a slow creak, like someone invisible had turned the handle. The burnt man stepped inside. I crawled backward until I hit the wall. He leaned down, so close I could smell the smoke on him, and reached his hand toward my face. My vision blurred. My legs felt weak. Just as his fingers were about to touch me, the alarm blasted. The whole station lit up. Loud sirens echoed, and the man vanished. Not walked away, not faded, vanished like smoke in the wind. I ran outside, my whole body shaking. The cold air burned my lungs. My supervisor arrived 10 minutes later. He saw my face and didn't even ask what happened. He just said quietly, "You saw it, didn't you?" I nodded. He sighed, a long, tired sigh. "You're not the first, and you won't be the last." I asked him what the thing was. He pointed at platform 3. 12 people died in that fire, including the driver. But one man, the one who sat at the very back, his body was never found. I felt sick. "They say he never got off," he continued. "They say he still waits for the last bus." Then he added, "Some nights, he finds someone to ride with him." I quit that job that same morning. I never went back. But sometimes, when I pass an empty bus station at night, I could swear I still hear that voice again. That was indeed a night I would never forget.
I will never forget the night I worked the last shift at Ridgeway Care Home. People think hospitals and clinics are scary at night, but nothing feels as wrong as an old people's home when the clock moves past midnight. You hear doors that were shut slowly open by themselves. You hear footsteps in hallways where no one should be walking, and sometimes you hear someone calling your name, even when all the residents are asleep. My name is Michael. And on my last night at Ridgeway, I learned something I wish I never knew. It was a cold Friday night. I came in at 9 p.m., half sleepy, already thinking about going home in the morning. The building was quiet, too quiet. Ridgeway always had this strange smell, a mix of medicine, dust, and old wood. But that night, it smelled different, like wet soil. When I signed in, Nurse Helen, the day nurse, looked tired. "You're alone tonight," she said. I frowned. "Where's George?" "He's supposed to do night shift with me." She shook her head. "He called in sick, bad fever, so it's just you, but don't worry, all the residents are calm tonight." She forced a smile, but her eyes were not smiling. Before leaving, she pulled me aside. "Mike, if you hear anyone walking in the East Wing, do not go there. Just call me, even if it's small, even if it sounds like someone moving furniture." I blinked. "Why?" "There's no one living there now," she said. Then she whispered, "But sometimes it sounds like someone is." She left before I could ask more. That was the first sign. For the first 3 hours, everything looked fine. Residents were asleep, TV was off, the big wall clock kept ticking. It was ticking too loud for my liking. But by 12:30 a.m., things changed. The first thing I heard was a long, slow creaking sound, like someone dragging their feet across the hallway. I thought one of the old men had woken up, maybe going to the toilet. So I got up and checked. The hallway was empty, the lights were dim, and the floor was cold under my shoes. But the dragging sound continued, down the hallway, toward the East Wing. I remembered what Nurse Helen told me. Don't go there. So I didn't, not yet. Instead, I checked the rooms. All the residents were asleep. But when I reached room 12, I stopped. Inside lived an old woman named Mrs. Hale. She was always quiet, never talked much, always stared at the window, even when it was night. But now she was sitting up on her bed, eyes wide open, looking straight at her door. I stepped inside. "Ma'am, are you okay?" She didn't blink. She didn't move. She just whispered, "He's walking again." Her voice was thin and shaky. "Who is walking?" I asked. She slowly pointed her finger toward the hallway. "You shouldn't be here tonight, young man," she said. "He doesn't like new faces, and he doesn't like when people watch him." A chill went down my back. "Who are you talking about?" She shook her head. "Go now, before he comes back this way." I stepped out quickly. Her door shut behind me, even though I didn't touch it. That was the second sign. By 1:15 a.m., the building grew colder. I could see my breath. I kept rubbing my arms because it felt like someone was standing right behind me, breathing on my neck. I went to pour myself a cup of coffee. When I looked up, I saw something down the long hallway. Something black, something tall, a shadow, not on the floor, not on the wall. It was standing. At first I thought it was a trick of the light. Then the shadow moved. Slow steps. It looked like a person with a broken leg. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would break my ribs. I stepped back, and the shadow stopped at the turn leading to the east wing. Almost as if it was waiting for me. I whispered to myself, I won't go there. But curiosity is a dangerous thing, especially on night shifts. When I blinked, the shadow was gone. But something else appeared. A cold breeze passed by me, and I heard a whisper behind my left ear, follow. I dropped the coffee cup. It shattered on the floor. That was the third sign. At 1:45 a.m., the call bell system started ringing. A loud ping, ping, ping echoed through the hallway. I checked the monitor. Every room was silent except one. Room 21, East Wing. My chest tightened. That wing had been closed for months. No electricity, no residents, no one. I lifted the receiver and called Nurse Helen. She didn't pick up. I tried again. Still nothing. The call bell kept ringing. Over and over. Ping, ping. My hands were shaking. I tried to ignore it. I tried to tell myself, it's just a glitch. But then, the ringing stopped suddenly, and I heard a voice from the dark end of the hallway. A man's voice, old, weak, calling my name. Mikkel. Long and stretched, like someone was breathing through broken lungs. I froze. My mind screamed at me to run. But my legs walked on their own, straight toward the east wing. The door to the east wing was half open. It was never half open. We always kept it locked. As I approached, the hallway lights flickered. Once, twice. Then they stopped working completely. I took out my small torchlight and pointed it inside. The air smelled terrible, like old damp clothes mixed with rust. The floor was dusty. The doors were all closed. Everything was silent. But I felt something watching me. And then I heard something. Coming from the far end of the wing. I should have turned around. I should have run. But I walked deeper inside, slow, shaking, telling myself it was an animal, maybe a stray cat, something normal. But nothing normal moves like that. When I reached room 21, the air turned ice cold. I saw something on the door. Deep scratches, as if someone with long nails had been clawing from the inside. My hand shook as I pushed the door open. The room was dark, except for a small bit of moonlight coming through the window. And in the far corner, someone was standing. A man, back facing me. Head bent to the side like his neck was broken. His clothes looked like old hospital pajamas. I whispered, "Sir, are you okay? Do you need help?" He didn't answer, so I stepped inside. Big mistake. The moment I crossed the doorway, the door slammed shut behind me. The man's head twisted, slowly, painfully, until his face turned toward me. Even though his body stayed facing the corner, his face, God, I can still see it. The skin was pale and wrinkled. His eyes were completely white. His mouth was wide, too wide, like someone had sliced the sides years ago. He whispered, "New face." Then he started walking toward me, but not normally. His legs dragged, his arms hung down, and he moved like he had no bones. I screamed and jumped backward. I tried to open the door. It wouldn't budge. He kept coming, slow, dragging, whispering, "Stay, stay with me." His fingers stretched longer, reaching for my throat. I banged the door. I kicked it. I shouted for help. He came closer, closer. His breath smelled like a grave. Just when his fingers were about to touch my neck, the light suddenly came on. The door flew open. Nurse Helen pulled me out and slammed it shut again. "Are you crazy?" she shouted. "Why did you go in there?" I couldn't speak. I was shaking too much. She pulled me to the staff room and sat me down. After a long silence, she said, "Room 21 had a patient many years ago. Mr. Livingston, tall man, broken mind. He used to walk at night, dragging his feet, whispering to staff." I swallowed hard. "He died in that room," she continued. "But some nights he doesn't stay dead." I stared at her. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" She looked away, because people don't believe it until they see it. A long silence hung between us. Then she said quietly, "He doesn't like new staff, especially those who walk into his wing." I didn't sleep the rest of the night. In the morning, I quit. That was 6 years ago. I never went back. I never worked night shifts again. Sometimes when I'm alone at home, I still hear it, the weak whisper calling my name, Mikkel. If you ever see a job posting for Ridgeway Care Home, turn away. Some places care for the living, some places trap the dead, and some don't even know the difference anymore.
My name is Samuel, and before you judge me, please remember one thing. A man will do anything to provide for his family, even taking a job he knows is dangerous. I worked night shift at St. Mercy Community Hospital for almost 8 years. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't modern, most of the equipment was older than me, but it paid well, and with 2 kids at home, I needed the money. People always say hospitals are full of life, but they forget something important. Hospitals are also full of death, and death never sleeps. If you ever take a job at a hospital, especially night shift, there is one thing you must know. When patients say they see someone standing in the corner of their room, don't smile and call it imagination. Don't laugh it off. Don't tell them to go back to sleep, because sometimes they're telling the truth. And sometimes the thing in the corner is looking at you too. I wish I had known that sooner. I wish I had paid attention, but most of all, I wish I had listened to my wife. That night started like any other. I came in at 10 p.m., half tired already. My wife kept begging me earlier in the evening, "Babe, please don't go tonight. Something feels wrong." But I laughed it off. What did she know? I thought she was just being emotional. The first 2 hours were normal. A few patients woke up asking for water. One old man needed help with his blanket. Nothing strange, but around 12:45 a.m., things changed. The lights dimmed, the temperature dropped, the hospital always felt cold. But this was different. My walkie-talkie crackled. "Sam, check Ward C. The motion sensor shows someone walking inside." I frowned. Ward C was the isolation ward, mostly used for patients who needed silence or who had infections. But tonight, only one patient was in Ward C, a woman named Mary Collins, 82 years old, dementia, could barely walk. So why would the motion sensor show movement? I took my flashlight and headed there. The hallway was long and narrow. Only one dim light above flickered every now and then. The paint on the walls was cracked. When I reached room 7, Mary's room, I heard her talking. But she wasn't talking normally. She was whispering, fast, frightened. No, please, stay away, don't come closer." I stepped inside quickly. "Mary, it's me, Sam. Are you okay?" She was gripping her bedsheet, shaking. Her eyes were wide open, staring at the corner of the room. "The dark man is here," she said. Her voice was thin, terrified. I turned my flashlight toward the corner. Nothing, just shadows. I sighed, trying to calm her. "Mary, it's all right. No one is here." She grabbed my wrist suddenly. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "No," she hissed. "Not a man. A shadow. A shadow with eyes." Her eyes moved to the corner again, full of fear. "He's looking at you now." A cold shiver ran down my spine. I checked the room twice, behind the curtain, under the bed, inside the bathroom. Nothing. No shadow man. No intruder. Just an old woman scared of her own imagination. Or so I thought. I comforted her, adjusted her blanket, and left the room. But as I stepped out, I felt something behind me. A slight movement. A tiny whisper. I turned sharply. Mary was staring at the same corner again, and she whispered, "He followed you out." I forced myself to walk away. By 1:30 a.m., the entire hospital became strangely silent. No machines beeping, no nurses talking, no patients coughing, just silence. I sat at the desk writing notes when the hallway lights flickered again. Suddenly, the power in Ward C went out completely. Pitch black. Before I could radio it in, I heard something behind me. Footsteps, slow and heavy, coming from the dark hallway. I turned with my flashlight pointed straight ahead. "Hello? Who's there?" The footsteps stopped. Then I saw it, a tall black shape standing at the end of the hallway, not moving, not speaking, just watching. I blinked, once, twice, and it vanished. The flashlight flickered in my shaking hand. I took a step closer. My stomach twisted. Then something brushed past me, not a hand, not a body, more like a wave of cold air, but shaped like a person. My skin crawled. I wanted to leave, to go home. But I kept telling myself I was just tired, just imagining things. I kept working. Worst mistake of my life. Around 2:05 a.m., my walkie-talkie crackled again. "Sam, can you check room 7 in Ward C again?" Mary's heart rate just spiked out of nowhere. I hurried there, but the moment I stepped into the ward, every light flicked off. A loud buzzing sound filled the hallway, like electricity struggling to stay alive. I turned on my flashlight. The hallway was empty, but the shadow at the end of the hall, the same one I had seen earlier, was back. This time, closer. Almost halfway down the hallway, I froze. My heart was beating so loud it echoed inside my ears. The shadow didn't move. didn't blink, just stared. I forced myself to move. I rushed to room 7, opened the door. Mary was sitting up again, sweating, breathing fast. "He's angry," she whispered. "He doesn't want you here. He wants you to leave." I tried to calm her down. "Mary, it's okay." She grabbed my shirt with both hands. "No, he wants someone to go with him tonight." Her voice cracked. I held her hand gently. "Mary, there's no one here. You're safe. I'm here." She looked at me with sad, tired eyes. "You think you're safe too, but you're not." I turned around nervously and scanned the room again. Nothing. But the same corner she kept staring at, looked darker than before. Too dark. Like something was sitting there. I decided to call the supervisor, but my walkie-talkie gave only static. I turned again toward Mary. She was lying down now, whispering something over and over. My skin crawled. By 3 a.m. I was past tired. My nerves were shaking. My hands were cold. My brain felt foggy. Then the fire alarm went off. Loud, sharp, echoing through the halls. But there was no smoke, no fire, no emergency light flashing, just the alarm. I ran to the hallway. All the patient room doors were open. All of them open. Patients were sitting upright in their beds, every single one, staring at the hallway, staring at me. I stepped back. "Is everyone okay?" No one answered. Then I heard the footsteps again, slow, deep, dragging, coming from the far end of Ward C. The shadow moved, coming straight toward me. My breathing grew fast, my legs felt weak. I whispered, "Please, please go away." The shadow stopped. Then it stretched, grew taller, longer. A hand-shaped darkness reached forward. Then a voice echoed in my head, not out loud, "Come." I ran through the hallway, past the patients, past the open doors, past the flickering lights. But no matter how far I ran, the footsteps followed. I locked myself in the supply room. My chest was tight, my breathing sharp. The footsteps stopped outside the door. I held the doorknob to keep it shut. Then I felt it, a cold hand pressing on the other side of the door. Not pushing, not shaking, just pressing. Then the voice returned, soft but everywhere. "Open the door." I fought the urge. I pressed harder. I prayed. I cried. Then, silence. The cold disappeared. I waited 15 minutes, maybe 20. Time didn't feel real anymore. When I finally stepped back into the hallway, the patients were sleeping again. Every door closed. Every light was normal, like nothing had happened. But I knew something had happened, something terrible. At 5:40 a.m., just before shift change, I went to check on Mary for the last time. I opened her door. She was lying peacefully, eyes closed, breathing slow. I sighed in relief. "Morning, Mary. You gave us a tough night." Then I noticed something. Her eyes weren't closed. They were half open, and her face was frozen in fear. I checked her pulse. Nothing. She was gone. My throat tightened. Then I saw it, a shadow on the wall behind her, long, tall, watching me. And the whisper came again, "Your turn." I dropped everything and ran. I didn't clock out. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't look back. I ran to my car. I drove home shaking. When I reached home, my wife opened the door, crying. She said, "You should have stayed home. I had a dream. A dark figure was following you." I didn't go back to the hospital. I didn't even collect my last paycheck. Because I know the truth. The shadow didn't stay in Ward C. It followed me. It still watches me when the lights are off. It still stands in the corner of my bedroom. It still whispers my name. And every night when I try to sleep, one thought keeps haunting me. I wish I had listened to my wife.